Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Anjarwati. In today's presentation, I will present my analysis about the play The True Story by Edward Albee. Before we get into the analysis, let's get to know Edward Albee. So Edward Albee is the American dramatist and theatrical producer. His popular work was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf in 1962, which displays in slashing insight and witty dialogues in its gruesome portrayal of married life. So a little biography of Edward Albee. So he was actually an adopted child, a father who had for a time been the assistant general manager of the chains of Fayetteville theaters and then partly owned by the Elvis family. At the time of Elvis' adoptions, though both his parents were involved with owning and showing saddle horses. Mostly he has a difficult time to get along with his parents, especially her mother, as Edward see her as a distant and unloving. Uh, but then Albee grew up in New York City and nearby Winchester country. He was educated at the Soda School and graduated in 1946 at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut in 1946 until 47. He wrote poetry and unpublished novels, but turned to plays in the late 1960s and not 50s. Sorry. Next, so mainly there are 4 stages of my analysis. So first introductions, then the main is intrinsic elements and message or theme, and then conclusion. So next is introductions. In this introduction, you'll know what is play. Yes, what is play? What is play? So play is the act of work of drama. It is a functional representations through dialogue and performance. Sometimes music. It is a type of literature which contains physical action. So drama is also a type of written play for theater, radio, television, and movie. So what does in the TV is actually the practical action of drama. So there is one quotation that say that the play is originally based on myths and legend. They were part of great festival. That's why music, songs, and dance are part of important elements of the plays. But today, modern playwright doesn't want to stick to this rule and felt that the story should reflect the modern society and its problem. Now we already know the meaning of the play. Let's get into the story by Edward Albee. So the story by Edward Albee is a one-act play that its appearance was not actually welcomed by Americans in the first place because the concept of the play is so unique at the time because it's just only 2 characters, Jerry and Peter, and it is one act, which means that it's the characters only has like one stage dialogue and conversations. one person sitting, one person is talking, and it is quite weird and unique at the time. And also the dialogue that is being talked about is quite shocking and sensitive. Uh, it was the first play of Edward Albee, and it is written in 1986 and was complete with just 3 weeks. Now let's get to know the stage. So I'll display it on here. So this is the stage. First is like normal stage. I mean, there's no difference with others except for the properties and everything. There's audience here, and yes, the stage is. This is just my imagination. I think it depends on the like who prepared the stage, because it's my imagination how it look like if I manage it. So there's Peter and Cherry, and that's some properties here, lamb and trees. I think it's quite similar with with the others, but this is my representation of the stage. Now we get into the analysis of the plot. First, expositions. So exposition is the introduction, how the author introduced the characters. So there are 2 characters. So let me get straight into the character as well. So there are 2 characters, Cherry and Peter. So Cherry is a man in his late 30s. He lives alone. Yes, he doesn't have any family member. Yeah, he lives alone in a in like in the flats, I think. Yes, and he actually feels lonely because he needs more recognition and appreciation from others, and he thinks that his life is like there's no use to in his life. Meanwhile, Peter is a man in his late 40s. Yes, he seems like a perfect man who has a whole family, daughter and wife. But actually he has his own problem, but he doesn't realize it. He actually can fight for himself what he needs, like a son and the pets. Our first expositions. So it starts when Jerry, no, not Jerry. Yes, Peter is sitting alone in the bench, and Jerry come over, and he said, "I've been to the zoo." Oh, so this like the starter at the beginning of everything. Peter, who realized that Jerry talked to him, answered or responded anyway because he wants to stay polite. So it became it. Next to the rising action is when Jerry becomes curious, realizing how different his life with Peter. After they compare their lives, so he became more curious with Peter. So now in the stage they have more dialogue and conversations. There's one quotation. This is Peter's dialogue. No, it is not with Cherry. This is Cherry style. I'll tell you, I live in a four-story brownstone rooming house on the Upper West Side, between Columbus Avenue and Central Park West. I live on the top floor, rear west. I don't have one. I don't have one wife, two daughters, two cats, and parakeets. Why do I do? What I do have? I have toilet articles, a few clothes, a hot plate, and etc. This is like showing how different Jerry different Jerry's life compared to Peter. So the next is after they tell like they sharing everything. Now it comes to climax. So let's jump into climax. So they actually fighting over revenge. Yes, jadi they are fighting over the pants. Jerry takes out the knife and treats Peter. Peter tries to defend himself. However, Jerry gets stabbed by himself and then dying. So just like so tragic, I think. Then following action after Jerry got stabbed, but after that he feels relaxed at the same time because he succeed to make Peter fight for himself at this point when he fight for over the pants. Then the town tell Peter to run away because someone might see them. Then the resolution, they have to leave Jerry with guilty feeling. Obviously, Jerry seems relieved as he has reached the point of showing Peter his existence. So I think both characters are successful as they think. Now we get into the language. So Jerry, as the way he talks and the way he, I think, had a conversation with Peter, as they really use a lot of slang term and quiet. Yes, using informal language. Like in the first dialogue, while Jerry called Peter Blockheads, it's quite slang from me. And his straightforward question often makes Peter uncomfortable with him, and he tends to make jokes and extra, and he like something like his mood is changed quite like his mood is like changed quickly over time. And Peter he tries to be as well as possible, as he thinks he is more stable in economy than Jerry, and like is he's older, and he tends to keep his attitude toward Jerry. The setting is time and location where the play takes place. Actually, there are 5 settings. First, place, then time, weather conditions, social condition, mood, and atmosphere. Setting, place, and time. Setting, place, and time. The place the setting takes place in the Central Park. Yes, Central Park it is. On the bench, yes, 1 bench, 2 bench, And the time is Sunday afternoon in the summer. So the quotation is: it is Central Park, Sunday afternoon in summer. The present, there are two park benches, one towards either side of the stage. They put face the audience behind the foliage, trees, and sky. Next, setting of atmosphere. The setting of the setting of atmospheres really depends on Cherry's emotion, because he keeps, like I said before, his mood is quite changing a lot over time. There are sometimes when it is awkward, intense, nerve-wracking, and many more. First, then, okay, point of view. This drama is using dramatic point of view, which is the author only share the actions of a scene but not the internal thoughts or emotions of a character. The events, however, in this story, the author most likely to choose the third persons or omniscience, since we know the thought and emotion of the character through the parentheses in the scripts. Yes, we also can read it over time what Peter's feeling toward Jerry. So it's most likely to use third person omniscience. It's not quite a dramatic point of view, because we know like the feelings of the characters. Lastly is the message or issue. So in my opinion, the issue in this play is about existentialism. So Jerry is the main character of the story, is the believer of existentialism. Existentialism is a form of philosophical inquiry that explores the problem of human's existence and center on the lived experience of the thinking, feeling and acting individual. In the view of the existentialists, the individual starting point has been called the existential angst, a sense of dread, disorientation, confusion, or anxiety in the face of a meaningless or absurd world. Also, when we look at the background, the story when Edward Albee first wrote this play, it is when after the Cold War and World War, I think. So the social background behind the story is like the effect of the Cold War stuff, where people start to disbelief of their belief. Edward Albee, who find that Americans start to lose their optimism and intensity. This story is an absurd drama, so the notion of absurdness is about the meaningless life we have until we give the meaning to it. The life of absurdness means we refuse to pursue specific meaning of life, and so man's existence since there's nothing to be discovered. Now for the conclusions. So, the story is an absurd drama written by Edward Albee. The story is focusing on two main characters, Jerry and Peter. The play was actually not quite selling in the US, but because the successful of Waiting for Godot in Europe, this play was performed. Analyzing drama script can train us to be more sensitive about the message of story. Moreover, we can learn how to judge characters and plot through dialogue and comprehend a drama text. In the good side, we can learn how to be a critical thinker. Thank you.